Hello, friend, and welcome to the 10-Minute Mind Shift Podcast. I'm your host, Janet Cagle, certified life coach, business strategist, and lover of all things related to up-leveling my life and yours. My goal is to help you experience a mind shift that gets you one step closer to your goals, whatever they are. My goal is not to keep you wrapped up in self-help all day, just 10 minutes. And who doesn't have 10 minutes, right? Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the podcast. If this is your first time listening, yay, I'm so excited that you're here. You are going to be glad that you are here today. In spite of the title that for sure leads one to believe that at least part of this podcast will be sad, I promise the opposite is true. Before I get started, I want to give a shout out to my barn family. I have had the best time getting to know them, and I love their passion for their horses and their support of my journey. That just means the world to me. So hey, ladies, I know you're listening. Love you all. All right, let's dive in. Maybe if you're like me, you're on your own forgiveness journey, and this will inspire you to keep going. For sure, this episode will give a deeper dive into my backstory, how I got started coaching, and why it's so important to me that I do what I do. My commitment comes from my burning desire to help you live the life that you desire, the one that you thought you would live when you dreamed about your life as a child. So I hope these little bite-sized knowledge nuggets are helpful and useful to you and getting you one step closer to your goal every day. So welcome to episode 33, My Forgiveness Journey. In 2016, I found a podcast called the Life Coach School Podcast with Brooke Castillo. I was on the hunt for some new insights into cravings and urges. I was in my mid-50s, had had a complete hysterectomy a few years before, so postmenopausal, and the boogers were out of control. Brooke started out as a weight loss coach and then transitioned into a general life coach with the Life Coach School. When I found her podcast, she probably had about 150 episodes already published. After I consumed the ones that she had about weight loss and cravings and urges, I started consuming the rest of them. I binged, listened, all of them. Here's the thing though. When I got to the one on forgiveness, I skipped it. You see, I had not talked to my dad in 13 years. I had decided 13 years previous that I was done, and I just turned it off. I was angry, I was frustrated, I was hurt, and I felt really justified in those actions. Over the years, when I would talk about it with my other family members, I would tell them that I only have so much emotional equity available, and I was saving it for those who were more worthy of it, those that invested in me emotionally. That's what I would tell myself. Maybe there's someone in your life that you've had the same thoughts about. So for 13 years, I didn't talk to him. When I got to Brooke's podcast on forgiveness, I didn't want to listen to it because I knew there would be work to do, and I just flat out didn't want to do it. I was bitter and angry, and I just didn't even want to feel any differently about it. The part that I didn't see, the part that I was missing out on, was that I didn't know how all of that bitterness and anger was actually affecting me. I thought it was affecting him. Then in 2017, Dad was going to turn 80, and my sisters and my brother were planning a surprise 80th birthday party. I was on the group chat discussion about it, and I told them that I just didn't see myself there. I was happy that they were all in a place that they could celebrate him, but I just wasn't there. The interesting thing is they all understood. Not one person was upset with me. They understood, and they just went on planning the birthday party. As the plan started progressing, though, I caught on to how big of a deal this was going to be. It would be the first time in probably 30 years that all 5 of us kids would be in the same place at the same time. There would be family members that I had not seen in more than 30 years, some that I would never see again due to their age. There would be nieces and nephews that I had never met, and nieces and nephew that I hadn't seen since they were babies. The event just became something I didn't want to miss. So I decided to figure out how I could manage the trip to Illinois and how I could possibly show up at my dad's 80th birthday party. How could I even start on this journey with so much anger and resentment? That's the day that I pushed play on Brooke's podcast on forgiveness. I had heard several times over the years that I should just forgive and move on, that I would feel better if I just forgave, but I didn't understand the first step in how you start that process. And I also thought that forgiveness meant so many things that it didn't mean at all. I thought it would mean that I was okay with what had happened and what he had said or did that hurt me to begin with. And that's just not the case. I thought this meant that I had accepted what was done, and that accepting it meant I agreed with it and that it was okay. And that's not true either. I thought forgiveness was for him and that it would require a conversation and an apology. All of those things were not true. Here is what I learned. Forgiveness is for me. Forgiveness is for you. It's the gift that you give yourself. Forgiveness literally means to stop feeling angry or resentful towards someone for an offense or flaw or a mistake. When you are tired and just over carrying the burden and the weight of the negative emotions that are not yours to carry, you simply just set them down. You stop carrying them. It doesn't require a conversation with the other party. It doesn't require an apology. It doesn't even mean that you have to have them in your life going forward. It doesn't mean any of that. When I decided that I was done being angry, I literally no longer felt angry, not even a little bit. I didn't utter the words, I forgive. I didn't have a conversation or a confrontation. I just decided to not be angry over something that happened over 13 years ago and didn't mean anything about me anyway. I was just done being angry about it. When that happened, my emotions shifted from anger to neutral. So I parked it there and left it there. I think we all have this idea that forgiveness requires two parties. It does not. It only requires you to be ready to not be angry anymore. Here is why forgiveness is so difficult. The anger is a shield. It feels protective. Once it's gone, it feels vulnerable and we feel exposed to all kinds of emotions. That's exactly what happened to me. I started feeling things that I had not felt in years. But here is why your forgiveness journey is so important. The anger and the resentment that you carry is a block to the abundance the universe has for you to experience. The walls seemed convenient and protective, and they made me feel like I was in control of something, but that was not true at all. In fact, the opposite was true. I was in control of nothing. I abdicated control to my dad. So much of our identity becomes wrapped up in the person who has been wronged or hurt, and now, who would I be without that story? No longer the victim of the circumstance. Here's what's so interesting to me. It only took a second to decide not to be angry any longer, and then it took me some time to acclimate and become this person who was no longer hiding behind the wall of anger and can step out into the world without it. I can tell you that it does feel much lighter, and you breathe so much deeper. You feel so much more of everything. Carrying around bitterness and anger for someone else is like drinking the poison but hoping they get sick. Sometimes, and I know I had this thought, I didn't want to forgive him because I just wanted to be angry because I thought somehow he would feel it and it would hurt him like he had hurt me. It does not work that way. The other person isn't feeling our feelings. They are feeling their own feelings, but we are the ones feeling our emotions. He was having his own experience, but he was not feeling my feelings. One of the questions that I get asked by other people who are on the same journey is, how do you know when it's time to forgive? And I say the very same thing that Brooke said on her podcast. You will know when you are ready because you are tired of carrying around that backpack full of negative emotions. So you're ready not to feel angry and resentful anymore. So the first thing that I did was to ask myself, why was I feeling anger and resentment to begin with? And here is what I want you to know. We think that it's what someone says or does, the circumstance or scenario that's causing the pain, but without us having a thought about what they say or do, we would not have the pain at all. It's our thoughts that create our emotions. And so it's what we are thinking and making the circumstance mean about us that creates our emotional response to it. And here's what I want to show you that will totally blow your mind. It's also your thoughts that protect you from pain and anger. Your thoughts protect you from the circumstance. My circumstance cannot touch me emotionally until I have a thought about it. Your circumstances cannot touch you emotionally until you have a thought about them, until you create a meaning to it. In fact, the biggest problem that we face in our lives is the space between what other people say and do and our thoughts about it and what we make it all mean. When I realized that what he had said or done didn't mean anything about me, it didn't mean anything that I was making it mean, and continue to think about it was me causing my pain. It was me continuing to create my own pain. I realized I was the one responsible for it. Forgiveness is about how you feel, not about what you do. I know so many people say that they have forgiven, but yet they are still upset and resentful. They have even started seeing that person again instead of ignoring them, but they are still a little ticked. They have said the words, "I forgive," either to themselves or to that other person, but still they are upset. That's not forgiveness. If you have not changed how you think and how you feel, it does not matter how you act or what you do. Saying you have forgiven is not the same as really forgiving. There are people who have forgiven their person that will never see their person again, never have a conversation with that person. They are not in their lives, and yet they have forgiven. How do we know? By how they feel. So I was done with the anger and the resentment, and I was able to go to Dad's 80th birthday party, and it was the trip of a lifetime. My forgiveness journey did not just change my life, but it changed the life of my entire family. It has changed the lives of my clients and students, and now maybe even you. It's why I'm so passionate about helping my clients and students on their journey. And I want all of you to know there is a way, there is a path and a process by which if you do the work works. You do not have to do this alone, my friend. I got you. If you feel stuck on your journey and you're ready to take the next step, I am here for you. You have nothing to lose, my friend, and a whole life to gain. All right, that is what I have for you today. I would love to hear your thoughts. Email me at janetcagle@janetcagle.com. Now, have the best week ever. That's a wrap of the 10-Minute Mind Shift podcast. I hope that you were able to experience your own mind shift today. Listen, if you're ready to take this work to the next level, I highly recommend Life by Design Academy. It's my one-on-one coaching program that offers you a transformation at the speed of life.